and go for landing. 3,000 feet. You're looking great.
This is the podcast where inspiring leaders share their stories to empower you, unlock your potential, and create a winning mindset for your future. My name is Luke Murfitt, the UK Entrepreneur of the Year, and my co-host is thought leader Kim Adele. Welcome to Global Futurists. Hi, good morning and welcome to Global Futurist. My name is Luke Murfitt and this is Global Futurist Podcast, co-host with Kim Adele. Kim Adele, good morning.
Morning, Luke. How are you?
Superb, thank you. Once again, we've got a fantastic show coming up with a wonderful VIP. Her name is Mitali Chopra. I know her very well and she's quite an inspiration. Good morning, Mitali.
Good morning, Luke. So good to see both of you.
It's fantastic, yeah. So,
It's lovely to see you too.
Kim Adele, tell us about Mitali.
Well, Mitali, where do I start? What an amazing career you've had already. So Mitali is a seasoned business leader. She now runs her own business coaching practice based in London, working with startup founders, SMEs and business leaders of large corporates to really help them with business growth and leadership development. But it doesn't start there. She's got over 20 years of rich and versatile experience, mainly in strategy, sales and marketing, process excellence, IT consulting, you name it. Mitali appears to have done it, working for companies such as PwC, Microsoft, GoDaddy, and moving on when she started her coaching career, has become London Coach of the Year for best client results in 2017 and again in 2019, and has just won the UK Coach of the Year for best client results. She's also part of the exclusive executive coach Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Coaches program, being coached by the man himself, which is amazing. I'm one of his coaches too, so would love to hear more about that. But I'm going to hand over to you, Mitali, to share with us your amazing journey so far, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. I mean, that's a lovely. It just feels good to be on the show, and going through that whole journey, I was reminded of so many ups and downs and beautiful milestones throughout. So yeah, I mean, you just said that I've been with corporate for almost 20 years. Last 4 years, I have been a business coach locally. And I work with wonderful people like Luke himself and help them grow their business and make meaningful impact.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Luke.
No, go for it.
So you've obviously gone through an amazing transformation already. If you think about all the skills that you've learned along the way, what would you say have been the biggest hurdles that you faced and how have you overcome them?
So, I mean, I have had my fair share of ups and downs and hurdles and roadblocks, always like any other life journeys overall. Professionally, of course, you know, there's always disruptions, and you can see from the journey that I have done variety of diverse roles and diverse industries. And that was initially some by chance and then later on by choice, because I wanted to learn from the best and contribute equally throughout the journey. So I have done variety of roles in different functions just to learn and look at business from all angles. But I think personal hurdles are something which always where you learn the most. And one of the thing that really stands out for me, which was that 1.5 years almost, where I had to undergo a lot of pressure as well as, you know, becoming a different person, is when my son was born. And he was born with a particular kind of a issue where we were not sure for almost 1.5 years if he could even walk. And I lived under fear for almost 413 days to see my son walking. And that had really made an impact in terms of to go through that resilience and still keep visualizing positively that I would see him walking, running, jumping around one day. And that really happened. And I'm happy to share that he is now a professional squash player. So he runs a lot. But I think in my journey, that 1.5 years when I lived every day, every moment, every minute with that fear is something which has defined it. Even today, he's 16 now.
Yeah.
And even today, when I see him playing on the court and running squash, right? It's a
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
high intensity game. I just get connected to those levels of fear. So I think I would love to share that personal instance, which kind of, what makes it. And I always relate to those situations, saying that if you're positive and if you're resilient, and if you keep visualizing that this will get over, I think combined power is really strong to get over any hurdle in life.
Wow.
Mitali, not to get into Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Global 100. That he doesn't just take anyone. Can you just tell us a few things that stick out in your career that people would just like to know as an overall synopsis of what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, the key highlights are definitely some of the best names on the list, which I was really fortunate to be part of, and in turn be part of wonderful teams. So the kind of teams I had all around, whether it was peers, even my managers, I was fortunate to work with the best talent in the world in different areas, right from PwC to GE to Microsoft to GoDaddy. So that kind of made me just having the right environment around you makes you the person you are, and really helps me get up the curve faster. But the major challenge and the disruption came when I was transitioning from an employee mindset to an employer or a business owner mindset, and that's a real difficult challenge. So anyone listening who is right now working and thinking to start their own practice, which or their own business, which most of us are bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, I think that transition of good, 8 to 12 months was a very, very disruptive time for me overall. But again, like I said, the resilience and visualizing that I will make it through really helped. And during this time, I was, of course, I got real good set of clients whose success stories I was working on, and we really converted into the best client results. And that was my focus. My only focus was to create success stories and work with these wonderful business owners and create the best business they could. During that journey, I one day I was on LinkedIn and I saw a video from Marshall, and he said that he was doing his legacy project, which he was turning 70. He wanted to do a legacy project, and he said, I would coach 100 coaches in the world for absolutely free. The only thing you need to do is to give it back when you are ready or when you get old. So I applied for it, like I think around 16 to 18,000 coaches across the world. I also applied for it. And my best day of the life, 26th Feb, I got the email saying that I've made it. And I was like, I really am a big, big admirer of his and his work. And just having that good fortune to be part of his team, and this one, not only him as the leader, but also those wonderful 100 coaches that we have, is something, it has put my learning on steroids, I would say. So really, really excellent opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, and also for sharing your story about your son. I can only imagine how hard that must have been. I think, we go through a lot of challenges often in our lives, but when we see our children go through them, it takes things to a new level, and that resilience clearly has done you the world of good. And Marshall Goldsmith is also a kind of key mentor of mine. I'm one of his coaches too. He has got some amazing lessons to teach us all, hasn't he? And I can imagine how proud you are of being one of his top 100. So what would you say has been the biggest learn that you've had so far, the thing that you're proudest of in your journey to date?
So I think, like, we are in a situation right now, this is my biggest learning has been to be adaptable and constantly disrupt and recreate yourself. So every 3 to 4 years, and when I look back, and now that I'm talking about it, if I look back, every 3 to 4 years, I disrupted myself and took up a new challenge, completely new challenge. And that keeps on adding and making the person you are with the. And I also see that over a period of time, all these things interconnect and the dots connect and the pattern emerges, which makes you the person you are. So diversity and disruption has really worked for me.
And so just briefly go over some of those disruptions that have happened. You obviously made it to the top at Microsoft India. So from there to GoDaddy, is it? Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
And GoDaddy Europe. But back to Microsoft quickly. What did you achieve there in terms of what did you face, and then what did you pull it into? Just to summarize, and how, in short.
So again, like in any corporate world, it's quite structured. So I mean, Microsoft is, again, I had a wonderful time because it is an environment that breeds talent and nurtures them to the level it can. So having the right programs, having the right support system really helped me grow there. But of course, these are also very high paced, cutting edge environments where you have to contribute equally and more to the company to constantly grow as well. So having the right support and environment around me and giving my best kind of translated into growth. And of course, some of the leadership positions that I were in. Post that, I went to, of course, GoDaddy, where I set up the whole sales and support function in India because that was one of the the first international market that they went to. And again, that was wonderful experience, and that was all about people. So I was part of the team, and we ramped up from 12 to almost 540 people in 2.5 years. And I think that was one stint where I realized that it is the power of people above the entire logical mindset that we have, the emotional intelligence, and then making and getting the best out of people is what matters. And that's how I could, slowly and gradually step into the coaching world. My brain and my mind works more logically because of my background in education. I'm an engineer and MBA by education. So it's more mathematical, and it's more saying that if a work can be done by 10 people in one day, then 5 people will take 2 days to do that. Like it's more equation and mathematical, right? But once you start managing people, you realize it does not matter. It does not work like that. It depends on how the team dynamics are. What are they commonly driven by? What is everyone's motivation? All those aspects does not make that equation sit that pretty. So you have to understand and get into people's mindset and see what are they driven with. Do they have clarity? Do they have focus? And then try to get the best out of them. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Luke.
No, it's good. It's just I know it's great to hear more. Yeah. Kim Adele.
Yeah, so I was just going to say it was amazing, and I'm a big believer that people is the kind of biggest asset of any organization. And when you really engage with them and you really get them to understand the common goal and the common purpose and the part that they can play within it, then that's when you really unlock their potential. And we were chatting about that earlier, weren't we? So could you just describe for me a little bit about the kind of biggest lessons that you got in leadership? I mean, growing a company at pace to 500, I'm sure you had a number of opportunities to learn some great things, and also to take away some real top tips that you could share with us.
Absolutely. I mean, from that success, I then moved to London, and then I was managing the whole EMEA operations, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I was part of the team which was supporting 15 languages and 17 markets. Again, a completely different environment for me because I knew none of those languages. But what I knew was the people management side of it. So very true, Kim. That is the core. And being in GoDaddy, I think I was also bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, which brought me there. So I would say I would summarize it into 4 lessons that I learned. Number one is building an adaptability muscle. It's very important. It's not the change, it's not the disruption, but it is the response and our response to that change that decides the outcome of it. So having a very good adaptable muscle really helps in all kinds of situations. So irrespective, personal, professional, moving forward, task level, whatever it is. The second lesson I would say is to be a lifetime student. And that is something I really, really go by. Skills of past will not take you through into the future. Like what got you here won't get you there. That's my favorite line from Marshall Goldsmith.
Yeah.
And that is so true. So one has to always keep learning and just learn it all, because things keep changing. So upskilling, reskilling, unskilling, all of that is part of it. So just learn. The third thing I would say is, like, there's this tendency to get lost in, there's so much information that we are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. And in this world, which is this, not just this world, always, there's so much of distraction, noise all around. Having a clear focus, so clarity and focus is really a differentiator. So the ability to draw clarity in a situation and then ability to focus on execution is the third learning I would say has really helped me in life, and something that I really stand by. And fourth, which is again very close to my heart, is creating meaningful impact. Life is not about proving how great we are, but doing things that can really help others on this planet, and just feel good about it. I think when I get my messages and just even a simple WhatsApp message saying that that whatever we are working on is really helping, is the most fulfilling day for me, when I hear good things about how things are improving in my clients' life. And I don't even call them clients, they're the champions. So that is something really, really important. And that was the forefront of it when I started my coaching practice, to create meaningful impact. So 4 things, like I said: adaptability, lifetime student, clarity and focus, and meaningful impact.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And having worked with you for the last sort of year and a half as a coach, I've seen obviously how you've reached out in different ways to each person. I think obviously you won UK Coach of the Year, which is obviously fantastic. That's for 2020, isn't it? You won that in January.
Yep.
And that's obviously, I remember when I first met you, and I said to you, "What's your dream?" And you said to be the best coach in the world. So best coach in England, so, UK is pretty good going, isn't it, so far?
Getting there.
Yeah, getting there. So that's amazing. And I think as someone who's observed, I can obviously say, third party if you like, that you sort of treat each person as an individual, and you move it from just being a job, it becomes personal, doesn't it? You really have a heart for those people, and you're not desperate. You'll work with people who want to work with you, and that's obviously really, really great. So as far as I'm concerned, it's no wonder that you've been recognised for that, because I think you stepped out of, yes, within Action Coach, but you've also created your own coaching techniques and everything else, and I think that's absolutely amazing. Kim McDowell, would you like to ask Mitali?
Yeah, so I loved your 4 top tips, and particularly liked your description of the fact that we are drowning in information and starving for wisdom. Very eloquently put, because I think we are. I think when we look at things like the World Economic Forum and the challenges that says are coming our way, when we look at 2022 and beyond, it talks very much about the need to have active learning and learning strategies, and we see a lot in the world about that drive to continue to self-develop, which you talked about before. So how do you go about ensuring that you are always learning and that you're continuing to evolve, which I know is so important to you?
I mean, of course, besides learning from the available material, which is, I watch a lot of TED Talks. Like I learn, and I, through learning and just listening to people's journeys or their experiences. So that's my best form of learning, when I can learn from other human beings. The second area, of course, is reading books, and something that I really have a habit of developing. Not an ardent reader, but definitely a good reader, to kind of just pick up new books and read them. The third is just by teaching. I think coaching is a profession where because you're coaching, you're constantly learning. It's just a reflection of doing what you're doing. So just by doing and coaching, and I learn a lot from my champions, a lot.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think every day is an opportunity to learn something new, isn't it? When we when we really listen to the people around us, and I know as an excellent coach as you are, that's one of the top skills, isn't it? Asking the right questions and then really listening to understand that person's point of view and help them. And you can't fail but learn doing that, can you? Because I think that's where I'm very similar. It piques my interest constantly, and I think every day is an opportunity to learn something new, and it's keeping that drive, isn't it? So if you could go back and to your earlier life and give yourself a piece of advice, what would be the thing that you know today that you wish you'd known perhaps when you were starting out on your journey?
I mean, a piece of advice that I'll give to my previous self is to maybe take more risks, more than that I took, and not overthink a lot of things. I think too much thinking is sometimes prevent you to take risk. I think they are interrelated. Two things: take more risk, do not overthink.
Brilliant advice. I completely get it.
And my final question, I think, would be: we are in. Who knew what was coming this year? And what would be your advice for people to work through this year right now, lockdown, and as we go through it and start coming out of it? What would be your advice to business owners and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, see, crisis in business happens every now and then. It might be, the scale might be different, the degree might be different, and that's what we are experiencing. This is an unprecedented level of degree and level which is there. So it is definitely impacting a lot of business owners. I'm very, very closely working with them. Now, like I said, yes, there is crisis, but the ability to deal with the crisis is the same. Like, you need to develop that resilience and work towards not just getting trapped into the situation, but working how will things look like when the things clear up overall. So one of the common thing and one of the common mistake which I'm seeing all across is that business owners are right now so short term and they're trapped in this situation. And my only advice to them would be, yes, plan your short term survival plan. But once you've done that, execute on it, but also spend time on how your business will evolve and thrive once things get cleared up. We know we will get through this. We don't know the time, but we will definitely get through this. So while you have a survival plan, don't lose the sight of the plan to thrive and work with whosoever you can to kind of build that plan and emerge stronger than you went into this crisis.
That's great advice, Mitali, and so true. I think very often people focus on today's problem rather than tomorrow's, and actually you've got to keep an eye on both, haven't you? Today's is here and you can see and feel it, but actually if we don't start planning for tomorrow's, we'll constantly feel like we're in catch up, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, it is easier said than done. It is difficult. It is difficult because these situations for some people is really, really critical. It's almost like they might lose everything. So it is difficult, but what other choice do we have?
Yeah.
And that's the premise. Yes, address it locally and address it short term, but have a longer view to the things as well.
Yeah, good.
Thank you so much. Luke, have you got any final questions for Mitali?
Not really, no. I think obviously in summary, what was the main part that you got from the interview here?
Oh God, I took away so much. It's hard to summarize into just one or two bits, but I think what's clear is to have that resilience to take more risks. I love the fact about not overthinking. I overthink all of the time, and then I overthink my overthinking. So great advice, and certainly something that I need to do for myself, because I can think myself into complete circles. And then about making sure that we don't just plan for today, but we plan for tomorrow. And I think just that overall positivity that we will get through this, and we'll get through it together, and working together and continuing to develop ourselves and develop our skills and helping each other is going to be how we do that and how we thrive, to your point, Mitali, when we come out the other side. So I'm already thinking about all the things I can implement as a result of this conversation. It's been an absolute delight. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
I'd just like to say, actually, you know, I really like the fact about reinventing yourself every 4 years. I mean, you know me, Mitali, I reinvent myself every 4 weeks. But I think that's absolutely true. Keep moving, keep evolving, keep you know, inspiring, carrying people with you, helping people along the way. And you know, I think that's absolutely brilliant and so crucial to remember. Mitali, thank you for your time. It's been lovely. I think it's rather inspirational. I know surely people would find you, Mitali Chopra, on LinkedIn, and I know you're clicked up, and there's lots of good things and plenty of journeys to go. And Kim Adele, you know, it's been great, isn't it? So thank you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute delight, and I'm looking forward to us actually getting to meet face to face, as I know we've been trying to so far this year. But when we come out the other side, I'm looking forward to that lunch.
Likewise, Kim, I still owe you the lunch, so definitely we'll catch up. And thank you so much. It has been lovely. It just felt like talking to two friends. So brilliant. Thank you so much.
Bless you. Thank you. See you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.